House of Hits Studio in Miami. The premier audio and visual studio experience in the world. Undisputed, undeniable, can't be refuted on any level. When you walk through these doors, you are walking into greatness, supreme being. DJ Khaled, Mary J. Blige, Busta Rhymes, Jack Harlow, the Migos, Kanye West, The Game, when they want to document their greatness and record their legacy. In Miami, when they touch down, House of Hits Studios. Period. There's certain places you go, there's certain environments you want to be inside to reach your optimum level, your zenith. When people go and play the Madison Square Garden in New York City, they play at a higher level than they do in any other stadium. That's because they know the history of that building. Same thing here with the House of Hits Studio in Miami. The ecosystem they've created is on another level. Hip hop since 1987, the #1 hip hop blog and media outlet in the world, undisputed, cannot be denied, cannot be refuted. Since 1987, they have been the most connected brand to the streets, documenting the authentic stories without compromising integrity. They don't do it for clout at Hip Hop since 1987. They do it for the purity of the game, giving you the real story. The first Meek Mill freestyle ever recorded on Hip Hop since 1987. Sitting down with Nipsey Hussle back in 2014 talking about Victory Lap before it was even released. Shout out to the great Nipsey Hussle. Hip Hop since 1987, House of Hits Studios in Miami. Two juggernauts, two conglomerates. Now we document history. Now we record our legacy. Welcome to the Hip Hop since 1987 podcast, coming to you live from the House of Hits Studio in Miami. Let's get it, people. You know how we do it.
People, welcome to the House of Hits Studio, the world famous House of Hits Studio. You know, when I wanted to start a podcast, I was looking at all kind of venues, and I was like talking to people in Miami to say, you know, where could I create the greatest platform for people's music be heard, their vision be broadcast, and just get the essence and the energy and create a certain euphoria that I felt like would represent them at the highest frequency, you know, at the highest vibration. You know, I kind of consider myself like Diddy, like a vibe creator. I like to create vibes because I think vibes spark things in people that could lead to greatness in what they do. The House of His Studios, their ecosystem it's about legacy. It's about the height of sacrifice and the height of genius all in one. So we're honored to be inside these walls and to be in partnership with Hip Hop since 1987, the #1 still media outlet for hip hop news, black owned, independent, not tied to anything. And when you think of hip hop, you think of hip hop since 1987. That's really what it is. You know, when you go back and look at 2014 in an interview with Nipsey Hussle before Victory Lap came out, Meek Mill first official freestyle when he was just on a corner with a regular hat, no bread, no nothing, just moving. They the coach over there. Today, I'm talking to another amazing, not only major recording artist, not only entrepreneur, but I like talking to real people, authentic people that have a purity about them that represents their aura at the highest level. Zoe Rosegold was born so different than the average person because her lens, her perception, her frequency in life, it runs at a very high pace without blowing a gasket. She's that Porsche at 900 horsepower, but when you get inside it going 400 miles an hour, it doesn't feel like that. She's always in control. She knows what she wants, and she believes her path will lead her where she needs to go. And most importantly, she never compromises her art form. I'm honored, and I mean super honored, to be speaking with major recording artist, entrepreneur, Dope Person of the Year, Zoe Rosegold. Zoe Rosegold, welcome to the House of Hit Studio. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. What an intro. I feel like I need a calendar that says dope this person of the year.
Listen, you know I do these. You've heard a lot of my interviews,
Yes.
audio wise, and you always used to ask me. You was like, man, how you come up with that all the time? And I just do it because when you're born to do what you do, is natural.
Yes.
Like
so true.
like when you just like Kareem was just meant to play basketball. Michael Jordan was meant to hoop. LeBron was born to play ball.
Right.
He was born to have big shoulders. So to me, when I'm speaking about people, when you heard that intro, I'm digging from a deep place within me because my whole day is like that.
Right.
Because we had a mini conversation. I want to ask you this. I've been knowing you now for how long? Almost 3 years?
3 years.
Maybe 3, maybe 2.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you came over to Radio Pushers and you were just a client artist saying, I want this, I want that. Did you ever think about we would be here 2.5 years later? Like, did you ever think between then and then now? Like, you ever think about the journey we've been on? Because it's been a beautiful experience of pain, sacrifice, confusion, and art. How has your life been in music the past 2.5 years? Break that down to the audience.
Yeah, it's been a journey, quite a journey, because when we first met,
Yeah.
We definitely bumped heads a lot.
For sure.
And I think right now it's just less frequently we bump heads, but
Yeah.
but
Light stuff.
But yeah, right, light. But yeah, I mean, I didn't picture, being here.
Right.
This is like, one of the top points in my life where I get to record at the House of Hits, be in Miami, So yeah, I never really I didn't foresee all of this. So yeah, man, I'm excited about it.
I told you when I met you, I said, success is a journey. Failure, you're gonna have more failure than success. People are broke longer than they're rich. So when I told you then was like, trust the process. If you go on SoundCloud, you type in Trust Doug with a DA process, that audio has over 14,000 plays, over 1,500 comments. That thing been listened to over and over again because that was the thing. Like, trust the process because this journey, you don't always have the road signs. You know how you're traveling?
Yes.
There's an exit 48, there's a rest stop. Well, on the journey to success, there are a lot of times you just driving and you don't have none of that. And you're going to get inclement weather, blow out a tire, you're going to get chased by deers. It's a whole process. So I say all that to say this. When you stare into the mirror right now, just you and your government name. And I want you to keep it 100. This is Hip Hop's in 1987. This House of His. Explain to the audience, what do you see in yourself today as a woman, as an entrepreneur in 2022? Like, what do you see when you look in the mirror? Like, what do you hear in your ears? And what do you see when you stare in that mirror? Like, who are you?
Okay. Well, when I see her in the mirror, I see a person that is becoming stronger and stronger every day.
Okay.
Like, I can't say that I'm where I need to be. My character is where I need to be. I'm financially, musically, everywhere. I can't say I'm where I need to be, but I'm definitely someone who's open to learning and letting life teach me, so that's what I see. I see a learner. I see someone who's trying to be humble, trying to be, just the things that I dream of, trying to accomplish them. So I don't know if part of me honestly feels like, yes, they're going to happen. And then there's some of me that feels like, well, just enjoy the journey. You never know. So to put that in a nutshell, that's what I see.
I appreciate your veracity. Here's what I see. I see an illuminated vibration of energy. Like, with you, to me, you have such an electricity about you that lights up a room. You energize people, and to me, the humanitarian side is you always want to help people. So to me, that's what I see when I look at you. As far as that, you have this illuminated, energy about you that wants to empower people. To me, you're a people in power. And I like that about you because you're always looking to like take interest in other people. That's a very humble quality about you. Like I see you talking to people like, yo, send me your stuff. Yo, what about this? Yo, I want to talk. I want to learn more about this. Like,
right.
That's a very like non-profit type mentality. Like you looking to give. So to me, I see a dope humanitarian that is a unique light bearer in the world. When you walk, there's a light. Like in Michael Jackson, the Billie Jean video, when you walking down that, see, and that cool like, thing about that video boom, was the lighted sidewalk. That's all I remember. When he was like, right, like there's that. Yes. So bring me to this point here. You've had ups and downs. You've had moments where, you've been pushed to the brink of like quitting or pushed to the brink of like going a different direction. Talk about your pain a little bit. How has the pain you've experienced in your life through different things molded your mentality to help keep you pushing toward your goals and your visions in life?
Right. Okay. Turn that off. There's been different levels of pain. There's been like failures, like me going in one direction, spending money in one direction, and it not working out. So that was like mental, emotional, failure, problems, issues. And then, I've had some health issues and stuff like that. So there's just been a lot of, there's been pain in my life. Outside of music, I'm in the medical field. So like, I compare my pain to other people's pain.
Okay.
And then sometimes I'm like, you're not that bad, So, get up, get over it, keep pushing, keep moving. So, because in what I do, I kind of see pain all the time. I see death all the time. I see those things all the time. So I'm like, I'm alive, I'm healthy, I feel good, look good, so I kind of try to push past the pain because compared to a lot of other people, I'm, they would want my life, So, but pain is a part of life, and I just kind of try to get through it, I cry, I go sit in a corner, go to bed, cry, I'll be in my car, whatever is going on, I'll deal with it and sit with it because I'm human, I'm emotional. But I compare to other people, and I can still get up and say change the situation. So
all right, let me give a little more detail because you said a lot of good stuff, but I want you to dovetail it into your process of your mentality. You have a certain mentality, you have a certain approach to life. You are very disciplined. You stick to a certain part of your life is very regimented. Yeah. You do this, you do that, you do this. It's almost like military, which is the reason why, you have achieved a lot. But early on, from your early teenage years to that, I call it transitional pain,
right?
Where you're trying to figure things out. Yes. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of mistakes being made. You being naive on a lot of stuff, naive on a lot of stuff. Excuse me. So, talk about how you transition through those moments into your early adulthood to kind of get on a certain path to where you wanted to be.
How I transitioned
through those moments,
different from teenage to now.
Yeah, like when the time you was like that 18 to on, like when you was transitioning through those moments of finding yourself, knowing who you are, because there's a certain identity crisis we all go through. Yeah. So kind of talk a little bit about that. So just so people can really understand, the transition between the pre-Zoe to the known Zoe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm a totally different person now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as a kid, I have two sisters, and just as a kid, I was like obese, You know, it
Okay.
was like, and people were thinking, no, you weren't. I'm like, yeah, I was like 12 years old and I was like 165, 170 pounds. So
Okay.
that's pretty big. So, but that transition, I think going from that size to losing like 40 pounds at 12 years old, that was the foundation of my discipline. That was when I learned to be disciplined. At that age, I learned um, really what life was about in just that one time in my life, and so young. And I used that those things that I learned throughout the rest of my life. You know, like I always thought like, "Oh, man, life isn't fair. Like my sisters are thin, you know, and they could eat anything and I can't eat anything. And I, you know, whatever I eat, I just get blow up, you know. So I just there I saw life wasn't fair. Not everybody isn't given the same cards, you know. I saw that, so I learned that. Um, and what else? I mean, pretty much
Let me ask
that.
you this
Yeah.
question,
Hmm.
because you made me think, and and by the way, you're doing a great job at answering the questions, because I'm throwing a lot of organic history at you.
Uh-huh.
When did you identify with yourself? Like, when did the assurance come in that this is who I am? Like, explain that moment. Like, when did you wake up and you just went out into life and you
Uh-huh.
said, "This is who I am"?
Yeah, that was actually I think fairly recently because
Okay,
I
that's
come
cool.
yeah, like I come from a Haitian household,
Okay,
and
how is that different? Can you break that down a
that
little
was
bit?
that's different because the music lifestyle, the music industry is not encouraged. Like I was encouraged either you be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. You know, Haitians know that. Like
Okay,
that's what you're pushed to be. You know, so if I say, yeah, I like music, I want to do this. No, that's not, you know, that's not what you do. So, what was the question again?
no, just
Sorry.
like when did you
Oh,
identify, with this is who I am?
right. So I think really recently,
Yeah, you said
because
recently. Yeah.
yeah, recently because, um, you know, I actually came out to my mother. I was like, I told her that, like I was dating a female.
Okay.
So,
You told moms that.
yeah, I told mom. So
Okay.
that's officially coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's officially coming out. And I told her that maybe maybe 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. Like so that's when I felt comfortable in my skin because when
Explain that moment of nervousness and what
mm,
was the energy like when you said, "Mom, I'm doing this." Like, what was that? What was it like crossing that bridge? Because that's moms,
oh yeah, yeah.
It's
I
a little bit
mean,
different. It hit different.
right, like
No pun intended.
I was just I was just hoping that honestly I thought she could figure it out because I was hoping not to have to tell her, not to have to say like this is who I date and whatever. So I was hoping not to have to say that, but so I was hoping she'd like pick up some clues and stuff, but she didn't. So and maybe that's because not because just she's naive. Maybe she didn't want to, but it was fairly recently that I was like, "Yo, this is the deal," you know. And she was kind of stunned for a while, and I was shocked she was stunned. I was like, "Really?" But you know, and but eventually, you know, she loved me, and you know, and you know, currently, you know, my partner and I, we have a daughter, and you know, so she loves the daughter, you know,
Right.
so really to me that was when I was able to walk in my own skin because the person that gave birth to me accepted me.
All right. Let's kind of fast forward a little bit. I want to talk about this,
Hmm.
and I'm breaking down the psychology of you so
Okay.
people can really, as people watch this over and over again, they really just kind of like they don't see Zoe Rosegold, the
Hmm.
artist, the cult music, the high
Hmm.
grade, all that stuff.
Hmm.
They just kind of like feed into you.
Right.
How do you balance stereotypes, fear, and ambition as 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 Zoe Rosegold in 2022? Like, how do you balance those things? Because you have things you want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
You have stereotypes that affect you,
Mm-hmm.
like stereotypes affect black men
Mm-hmm.
or whatever race, white
Right.
men, Asian. We all have stereotypes
Yeah.
that come at us.
Yeah.
So how do you manage all of those and still go after what you want in 2020? Like what's some of the things you do that keeps your mind strong? What's some of the things that you do fundamentally that allows you to kind of like swerve in between this traffic jam of life?
I've always been the black sheep, you know, so it doesn't. I don't have to coach myself to like maneuver through life as a different, you know, someone who's different. Or if you can have an opinion of me, you can fit me in a box. I don't fit in any box.
True that.
But you can try to fit me in a box. You can try to you know, say, oh, you know, put me in a stereotype, whatever. But it doesn't you know, like, I'm human, so I'm not like a brick wall. So things kind of affect me, but minimally, because especially if you're not in my space and I don't know you, then it doesn't matter that much. So, you know, my thought is I was created a certain way. The people that are for me are going to be around me, are going to be for me, and the people that are repelled by me or don't really clash with me is because they weren't really supposed to be in my space. So that's how I look at it.
Music
Mm-hmm.
is something you said earlier. You said that growing up as a Haitian, you're gonna be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or what's the fourth one?
No, that was it.
Oh, you sure? Okay, I thought you said fourth.
I said three.
Yeah, no. Okay, cool. So hip hop, performing, going against the grain. Explain the affinity you have for hip hop. Like, when did it actually? When did that? Like, when did you give birth to that?
Well, I was born in Brooklyn, so Brooklyn was where I grew up in the the 90s, East New York. It was mostly reggae was the thing.
Oh yeah, of course.
So that's what I kind of grew up listening to. My neighbors always played reggae. I felt like I lived in a Jamaican household because the music was so loud and it blasted right next to us because we kind of shared we were right next to each other. But with hip hop, man, it was just different times when I just felt like I fell in love with it. But it just different times when I just felt goosebumps.
Okay.
You know.
Like when you heard it, or
yeah, just when I heard it, when
particular
I heard
artist that triggered those goosebumps.
I love Nas. You know,
okay.
I love Nas.
Shout out to Illmatic.
You know, so he, you know, he made me think. Who else? You know, I always liked.
So you heard the hip hop music.
Mm-hmm.
It triggered something in you psychologically, chemically. It made you. It was like a compound. It's like almost like the periodic table.
Mm-hmm.
You were making your H2O. You were mixing chemicals in your mind and say,
right.
"Ooh, this is hip hop. I love this.
Yeah.
I want to go with this." And then that prompted you to start thinking about it more.
Right.
So let's fast forward to this part. When did Zoe Rosegold become created?
Honestly, Zoe Rosegold became created when I moved back to New York. I was living in Texas for a little bit, moved back to New York, and a friend of mine brought me to a studio. Okay. And shout out to Michael Ashby. He, you know, his studio, and I was able to. Well, they let me. The friend's name is Fred, so they let me. Actually, I wasn't supposed to record anything, but they was like, "We got some time, you know, go ahead, you know." And I haven't written anything in a long time, but I actually, you know, just remembered something, and they put the beat on, and you know, and I was like, "Yo, I sound good," you know. I was like,
casual pat on the back.
You know, I was like, and I kept listening to that over and over, and I was like, I was playing it, and I let people hear, and I was like, "Yeah, you sound good," and I was like, this is just, it makes, I in that booth felt like home. It felt like, it felt like I belonged there. So it just like, that's when she was created. So.
Right. So it was created there, and then obviously music has taken you through a lot of ups and downs. Music, it's been like a real relationship.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's had your highs. Y'all been out to dinner a lot of times. Y'all been
Yes.
around the world, France, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your relationship with music today in 2022? Like, what's your relationship with hip hop right now? Just with music in general, creating. Like, what's your passion for creating right now?
I mean, I think I don't like. It's hard for me to fit in a box. Like, I love hip hop, and I can do hip hop. I can,
EDM too.
Yeah. So I just like music in general. My favorite genre is reggae. So and a lot of the best rappers are are Jamaican actually. And I can name a few, but won't do that. But yeah, like my relationship with hip hop now is just, I'm just gonna continue to contribute my thoughts, and then also expand it, because hip hop has changed from the 90s to the 2000s to the now it's changed, and if you don't evolve, you get lost lost in the sauce, as they say. But yeah, like that's just continue to evolve.
And the reason why I say it is because I've seen a resurgence in you. We know, like, I think when you first started, and I could be wrong, correct me, but you were just putting out music, TuneCore, whatever you was doing, and different people in your ear talking, and different people obviously failed, and then, but your talent is your talent. I think the reason why it's hitting different now is because of the involvement of your team, and mostly, I think, your confidence is at an all-time high, because you were just doing broadcasting with us. You kind of went into, like, you went back into the booth. You wasn't Superman no more, Superwoman rather. You were just the regular person. You wasn't Superwoman. Like, shout out to Superwoman movie, I love it, by the way. But it's like, and then all of a sudden the green room happened,
right?
And people were submitting music, and then West Will was mixing, and then I was doing it too. And then West Will got in there and started mixing. Shout out to West Will. He's somewhere in the world, in the building.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. And then you just said, Jay, like, I'm going to submit music. He's like, why is she submitting music? Like, every week. Like, Joe Paul, you. I thought y'all was in podcasting.
I know. We was battling.
And I'm like, y'all in podcast. I retired Joe Paul. He was going to be the Jewish Joe Budden. And then I'm like, you were going to be what you were going to go into your bag. Yeah. You was going to be the Haitian Angie Martinez. So I'm like, okay, cool. We were getting somewhere. And then all of a sudden, I think I lit a fire. So as we dovetail out of this interview, like, to me, I think you're a rookie again. I feel rookie vibes from you. I feel like 03 LeBron. Like when he came into the league with D Wade and Carmelo. I just think that now it feels right. To me, I tell people all the time, sometimes your lack of success comes from your lack of purpose. And if you don't feel alive, you're not working your purpose. When people are working within their purpose, they feel alive. True. They got an energy, they got electricity. True. A lot of times people, they meet me for the first time and they always say, man, I thought you was, it's like you really the same guy all the time. Like, my motor run high all the time because it has to. You can't just turn off. Like, if you turn off a Lamborghini, that engine is super hot. Like, the inside, like it's because it takes so much to rev. It takes, when it's going, a lot of stuff is moving. Right. It's not like turning on a Camry. No disrespect to Toyota, but my thing is, you did when you cranking up something with 750 horsepower, a lot has to move. Right. So when you work within your purpose, I think now, even with the podcasting, that's brought out so much in you, and then with the Green Room, Spotify Live now. So, Coke Music, High Grade is out. Rosegold Multimedia Enterprises. Yes. Doing your thing. 2022, as we have about 5.5 months left, what is one thing you want to accomplish this year for your brand and for your music to keep it going in high gear? What's maybe just one thing you want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, I want all the songs that I have out to play on FM radio. I just want them to continue playing, and I want to continue engaging with fans and people that are feeling the music. Let more people know about the music. So I just kind of 2022. I just want to give myself more exposure, because I can say, yeah, I want to get on. I want to set realistic goals. I can't say like,
I like that.
I
like that, because that's important, because
right.
a lot of times people say, I want this, I want that, but I always tell people, well, what are you going to do?
Right.
Then, there is that bridge between you and your goals. It's kind of long.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I want to ultimately, I want at least one song to hit Billboard charts.
Okay.
But that, I don't know if that's going to happen in 2022. That's not, to me, that would be a miracle. You know what I'm saying? But, to set a realistic goal, yeah, I just want increase my exposure, market better, and let the people let me know what they think. So
what's one thing about yourself that, well, it's a 2-part question, and then before we get to the last question, but what's one thing about yourself that you look in the mirror and say, I gotta change this about me, to be a better Zoe Rosegold person? Like, what's one thing about yourself that you feel like you need to improve that so you could be a better person? And what's one thing about you that people just love or gravitate to, man? People love that about Z.
Oh. Okay. So what they love about me, I think, is just my energy. I think people love my energy, my positivity. That comes from actually me teaching myself, because I always looked at life or things as the cup is half full instead of, half empty instead of half full. I've always looked at life that way. So I had to train myself to be more positive. Like I
like that.
I actually started years ago a gratitude journal. So I had to train myself every night to write what was positive today.
I like that.
Because I looked at things so negatively. So I'm inclined to be depressed. Like I'm in like physiologically, I think. But so I trained myself. So now, some people would be surprised at that if I said that. Like, yeah, I'm usually, I have to push past some depression sometimes, So I had to train myself for that. So I think that's what people like about me. And what I have to grow in is probably just becoming more positive, because there's always going to be a challenge for me, because that's always going to be a challenge. So
Patience,
it's always something I have to, it's always something I always have to work on all the time. So,
got it.
Yeah.
You have a long road ahead of you, but you have traveled an amazing amount of miles. And I want to just tell you, give you your flowers now. Myself, Radio Pushers, the whole team, Patience J, we're so proud of this moment. And here's the reason why, in conclusion, is because it wasn't designed like this. You earned it. You went through every emotion. The marathon continues. Nipsey always says, it doesn't mean I knew everything. It just means I didn't quit.
Right.
So that don't mean we figured it all out. We just knew we had to keep going, and if we just stay honest with ourselves, we will end up making it there. So I thank you for being on the House of Hit Studio today. What did you enjoy the most about being here today? About being in the building?
Finally meeting you for the first time in flesh.
The man behind the curtain, right?
Yes.
Hope I didn't disappoint.
I'm sure everybody says that. No, you didn't. Totally not. And we still have to chat more. But yeah, just meeting West Will today, just being here. This whole thing is exciting. Getting to record a song that I've been working on while I was driving here. So it was great. Thank you so much for the deep questions and letting people tap into
you differently. Exactly. All right, people. Zoe Rosegold, House of Hit Studios, Hip Hop 1987. Dorian, the guru in the building. Let's get it. Peace.
House of Hit Studio in Miami. The premier audio and visual studio experience in the world. Undisputed, undeniable, can't be refuted on any level. When you walk through these doors, you are walking into greatness, supreme being. DJ Khaled, Mary J. Blige, Busta Rhymes, Jack Harlow, the Migos, Kanye West, The Game, when they want to document their greatness and record their legacy. In Miami, when they touch down, HOH Studios. Period. There's certain places you go. There's certain environments you want to be inside to reach your optimum level, your zenith. When people go and play the Madison Square Garden in New York City, they play at a higher level than they do in any other stadium. That's because they know the history of that building. Same thing here with the HOH Studio in Miami. The ecosystem they've created is on another level. Hip hop since 1987, the #1 hip hop blog and media outlet in the world, undisputed, cannot be denied, cannot be refuted. Since 1987, they have been the most connected brand to the streets, documenting the authentic stories without compromising integrity. They don't do it for clout at Hip Hop since 1987. They do it for the purity of the game, giving you the real story. The first Meek Mill freestyle ever recorded on Hip Hop since 1987. Sitting down with Nipsey Hussle back in 2014 talking about Victory Lap before it was even released. Shout out to the great Nipsey Hussle. Hip Hop since 1987, HOH Studios in Miami. Two juggernauts, two conglomerates. Now we document history. Now we record our legacy. Welcome to the Hip Hop since 1987 podcast, coming to you live from the HOH Studio in Miami. Let's get it, people. You know how we do it.